Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. You can hit the subscribe button, you can hit the bell, and you'll get all the latest notifications of our unique video content. And I think there's more than a few things to attract your attention. Today on the Football Show, we'll look back at last night's Premiership fixtures in the company of Alan Ruff and Tam Cowan. Delighted the two of them could join us. It was touch and go whether Tam was going to make it or not, but he's pulled out all the stops. You're here with us. We're delighted.
I have, and it was a sore one last night, though. It was a sore one last night. But Tony Watt, we knew it was going to happen, Peter. That's what we've been talking about. The Motherwell fans knew it was going to happen. He hadn't scored a single goal for Dundee United, and bang last night. I know a consolation I take for it all is that it's a cracking. I mean, the league's absolutely unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's barely any points between that big chunk of teams. Chasing Europe, hoping to keep out the playoff. You've got a great battle at the bottom and brilliant at the top with Celtic and Rangers. So aye, it's a good league, but that was a sore one last night, and there's some pressure on Motherwell now getting into the cup game on Saturday against Aberdeen, you know, because we've got out of the habit of winning games, simple as that, and there's a lot of pressure started on Graham Alexander, there's no doubt about that.
You think he's under pressure?
There's a lot of, first and foremost, Peter, I wasn't there last night, right, but first and foremost, I'll listen to the guys that did go last night, you know, I mean, one of those bits of gear you've got in front of me, fans can sit and watch a game on that now. Fans didn't have to go to Tannadice last night, sit in the traffic at rush hour and all the rest of it to get up to Dundee. The fans that did go were very, very disappointed. They were very angry. They're urging Graham Alexander to try and pick his 11 best players and maybe stick with it, stop all the chopping and changing. Yeah. And we're in a horrible run. It's not been pretty to watch, and we've got a huge game. This is our season on Saturday. If we get put out the cup with Aberdeen, that's it. Season over.
Yeah, I'm going to get your thoughts on that. I want to talk to you about Alan Burrows as well. We'll talk about the race at the top, of course, as Tam alluded to there, Ruffy. Even Dundee off the bottom of the table. Everybody seems to be battling for something.
Well, I always say to you, midweek games, there's always a wee surprise somewhere, some ridiculous result, and that happened last night. I mean, I only saw the highlights. I mean, Hearts were really kicking themselves. They should have that game done and dusted. They had so many chances. The Dundee goalkeeper who came in was absolutely incredible. You know, saves he was making. So, yeah, you've got to take it. Yeah. All credit to Dundee. You know, it just shows you the relief between everybody, the manager, the players, and everybody when you get a win like that. But there's still a long way to go for them.
Yeah, we've got lots of things to talk about. I'll try and cram in as much as possible and read out some of the messages as well. A big hi to Thomas Stewart Ramsey, who always watches from the West Midlands. Stuart, every now and then we try and give a mention to the people who enjoy the show and share it with their friends and tell everybody that we are on. And thank you, because the numbers are growing and growing now that we're exclusively on YouTube. We're really delighted about it. Joe Marshall as well, who says, come on Tam, let's hear you rehearse your off the ball jokes here for Saturday. Harsh to say the least.
No, that was he's referring back to the Andy Walker one. That's
yes,
what he means.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Thomas, David as well, Joe Marshall. There's lots of people. Hugh Scott, who's a regular, Bob as well, who will be offering us their opinion throughout. There's so many people now taking advantage of the feed that we've got, and lots of decent people posting a lot of intelligent stuff. Disregard the nutcases, there are a few on it. Stephen McNamara, who's not a nutcase, says, I predicted Dundee would win on the show yesterday, Peter. So full marks to you, Stephen. It's one of those ones that I think some people will admit they didn't see it coming. We're going to talk about that, and I want you guys to think.
And for the guy for the West Midlands, milk and 2 sugars. That's what you may get asked if you get into a gents outfitters in the West Midlands and ask for a kipper tie. Try it.
Yeah.
Cup of tie.
and there's the first guy. There you go. There's the first.
It wasn't just right, but I'll get that right for Saturday. This is a work in progress.
Brilliant. I'm happy with that. I don't mind us being the
it's an old Jasper Carrot joke now.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the benefit of our younger viewers, Jasper Carrot was a comedian from the 70s and early 80s. We're going to talk football. We're also going to talk about 22 years ago, this very day, a certain manager gets sacked. He was only in charge for 29 matches, and he gets sacked 22 years
in Scotland.
ago today. In Scotland, only in charge for
John Barnes.
Oh, what
Was
a
it?
shout
Aye.
from yourself. 29
Right.
matches, which I thought was astounding. 29 matches is not a long time. So we'll talk about
Kenny
that as well.
Dalglish, what was his gig? He was director of football.
Yes.
I think he was so shocked when he heard the news that he missed an easy putt.
Yes, I think that
he was never near the
that
goal,
was a
he?
standing gag, you know.
Got his man in, his pal for Liverpool, and that was it. Back out on the golf course.
The other thing that's just breaking as well, Dagenham and Redbridge have suspended Kurt Zuma's brother, Jon, until the RSPCA have completed their investigation into the sick cat kicking video. Jon,
Suspended his brother.
yes,
His
Jon,
brother that took the video.
who like Kurt also plays centre back, filmed the incident, which he says he unreservedly apologises for. Somebody did actually make a point to me. They said they're only apologising because they get caught.
Of course they are. aye.
Which is, you know,
I've not watched the video. You know I've got a wee dog, Peter. I think, see, animal lovers out there in general, the minute I clicked on and I realised what this was going to be, I couldn't watch it.
No, I agree
straight
with
off it. And that's why I'm absolutely disgusted that Davy Moyes played him the other night.
yes,
He's been well done in my estimations, and I mean that sincerely.
yeah, absolutely. You look at you taking the high moral ground here on this. Listen, at the end of the day, he knows he's my pal. He's putting the boot in. We've discussed it. I mean, it was a wrong call, but he's been fined £250,000.
Yeah.
He's going to play him. What do you do? What would you like to have seen Davy do?
I would like to have seen Davy sincerely tying the fella to a goalpost and bringing a cat out to have a go back at him. And by cat, I mean either a lion, a leopard, or a saber-toothed tiger. See how he likes it.
Yeah.
And I think I speak for the vast majority of people there. It was absolutely what a disgusting way to behave.
Yeah, you're right.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
There's no fun involved in any thing about it. And there's been a lot of memes flying about about the whole thing, but nevertheless, I just thought it was a horrible thing to do, and not something that I think gives footballers. Puts them in a good light. I just thought it was dreadful, especially
When's he unveiled the Wraith Rovers? I'm assuming they're going to make a move.
Something.
Aye.
You are on fire. We're only 5 minutes into it. It was a despicable thing, and he has apologised. I don't think it's enough. A lot of people want to see a stiffer penalty. Anyway, talking of penalties, let's get to the Rangers game. Rangers defeated Hibs by 2-0. Ruffy. Ryan Kent got a penalty. Stonewaller, I thought he should have had 2.
Yeah, definitely the first one. If you're going to go to Ibrox or Parkhead, you don't want to be giving them a penalty in the first 4 or 5 minutes of a game. I think McGinn did go in to win the ball, but he missed it and he got the player penalty. Remind me of the other. What was the other, Ian?
Push in the back. It was a...
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one.
No?
No.
Oh, no, I think it's a penalty, Tam. Do you?
Well, I thought Rangers should have had a second penalty, but I only thought that having watched slow motion replays and freeze frames of the instant. Ruffy in our wee Facebook trailer for the show was talking about VAR again. And I know it would maybe reduce the time that we're on air in programmes like this and any other shows. I know it might reduce the amount of pages in newspapers. But we've got to stop just talking about this and going round in circles and actually get the system in place in Scotland.
Well, they are going to vote in April.
But everybody that launches one at the referees, they are clearly that section who have seen the instance on telly, who have watched the replays, who have seen the pictures. And the match officials, they're no privy to that stuff in the course of a game. I just think it's horrible. And the only way that I think you should be having a go at match officials over this is if, lo and behold, it was always the one team that was getting it. But that's not the case. That's not the case. It's happening to every club. Every manager's greeting about it. So we either bring in the system or don't. Simple as that. And if we don't bring it in, give the refs a break.
Well, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not having an absolute, real battering of the referee. We're calling it and saying, did I think it was a penalty? I thought it was. You didn't think it was a penalty, did you? The push in the back? I thought it was a penalty.
50-50. But again, I can't get the image out of my head because I have seen it on the telly, unlike the ref. So my opinion shouldn't count here.
I was hoping they would have put it in the highlights in the BBC. They didn't. Sean Maloney was, incandescent with rage. He thought Ryan Porteous should have had a penalty for a kind of a barge altercation in the penalty box from a set piece. And I have looked everywhere, Tam, to see that incident. I can't see it anywhere on any of the footage. And he was raging with it.
Yeah, and well, there's another thing, referees that rage or encourage rage from managers tends to be managers that are under a wee bit of pressure. Yeah. And you can certainly say that now about Sean Maloney. He's a terrible, terrible time.
How many managers, Robbie, are under pressure?
Many Jenks should go,
Well, I think Graham Alexander should be shown the door, Robbie Nielsen at Hearts, Sean Maloney at Hibs, and maybe there's another few.
Well, James McPhee got a win.
You know what?
He's got a...
You know what? As I say, I know you'll come maybe at the Murrow game later, but that is huge for us on Saturday. The fans will see it as absolutely massive. Aberdeen, as you know, and I don't know how they keep doing it, good on them. They always bring a mega support with them, and particularly in the Scottish Cup, which, despite the fact they've not won it now, what was it, 1990 maybe?
Yeah, I was there.
Incredible. Yeah. Was that the one that went to a long penalty shootout, Brian Irvine and all that, right? But the Aberdeen fans, they'll come down to third part in the numbers, so that's going to be a hell of a game on Saturday. But there's pressure on a lot of managers.
Yeah.
But again, Robbie Nielsen, I'm only joking about that as well. Hearts are still sitting third in the league. I think when they came up last year, remember we were sitting here talking about it, the flat they'd go even through promotion, and they were maybe hoping for top six, but there he is, third, looking great for Europe. The Sean Maloney one's a strange one, assistant at the number one nation, as they are ranked by FIFA in the world, working next to Roberto Martinez for all that time. The been there and done it as a player.
Yeah,
I thought Hibs would absolutely want to watch when they get him in, but it's not happening.
Well, Bob clearly doesn't like me, or he's decided that I'm tagged with the Celtic situation, because he says, still cutting Sean Maloney major slack, Peter, ex-Celt. I suppose that goes with the territory. I just thought I'd read that out. Every now and then I like to read out, crap. But, at the end of the day, I mean, I couldn't care less about the whole thing. I'm looking at managers, do I want to see Barry Ferguson get sacked at Alloa? No. Is it because he's my mate? Who knows? You want managers to be given...
You're mates now, are you?
No, we're still pals. God almighty, you can move.
You didn't say that before the show, then. On them all sorts.
You can move.
And hoping that Alloa move in and scud them.
You can move. He's a noise up. You can move to another broadcaster. Who cares? At the end of the day, that's the nature of life. Same as moving for another football team. But what Bob says there, Sean Maloney will live or die by results, as any other manager, whether they've played for Celtic or not. Bob, you need to wise up and grow up. At the end of the day, Rangers defeated Hibs 2-0. I thought they were worthy of the points. They were worthy of the first penalty. Morelos scores a nice second goal as well. I'm just mad that I didn't see the Porteous penalty claim to see if he did any justification.
Yeah, well, I never saw it either, but Tam's perfectly right. Managers, when things aren't going particularly well and they lose a game, see things that nobody else sees. They try to believe that they should have had something, but I don't think that Hibs deserved anything out of that game last night. I thought they were a lot better than Hearts, to tell you the truth. They were a lot more organised, but they still lost the game. And you're right, Maloney and the likes and the Aberdeen boy, they'll be judged next year. They'll not be judged this year. They're just into a job. And I still think Aberdeen will be in the top six, and I still think Hibs will be in the top six.
The worry for Hibs though, Peter, is remember they go up to Arbroath now in the Cup, in the fifth round of the Cup. Now Arbroath, I mean, brilliant again for them last night. They got a draw, which on paper doesn't seem like such a great result for the mighty Arbroath, but all the other results went exactly their way, and they actually stretched their lead at the top, and they'll still get into the game. There's zero pressure on Arbroath going into that to play Hibs. Every day will be reminding them that they are still part-time, they are that wee team that plays at Gayfield, and the real pressure on Hibs, that's unmissable, that game.
Well, absolutely. It's the one game.
And it's live on BBC One Scotland.
Is that right? What a bonus it is that it's on BBC, which is Tam's other employer. Isn't that great? Do you remember, Ruffy, when we first hired him and he went through a period of every bloody week he'd talk about that bloody radio show he's on, and he'd mention Cosgrove, and then he'd mention something else, and I thought, we've hired an advert. He's unbelievable. But
And fair to Stuart, did you see this week at the Smithsonian that Channel have bought the rights to his Muhammad Ali book?
yes, I did
Cassius
actually.
X.
I thought that was.
That's your real though. That's
Well, to be fair, I don't think he's short of a bob or two. Your sidekick.
I don't know. That eczema cream doesn't pay for itself.
That is your best line in about 2 years on this programme. Anyway, listen.
Is it bad? You can't really see it.
Shut up! Don't be so stupid, you.
I had it bad for a while, aye.
Anyway.
He laughs about it. Genuinely, always they said it to the boys at school because of his soul music and the eczema that they all called him Lionel Richie. And it's one of life's great nicknames. Get your listeners' own name, him to work with the great nicknames. Hugh McDonald told us a cracker that was we must have been talking about on the radio one day, or maybe it was a night we were out or something, and he said that there was basically it was a drug dealer in Easterhouse in Glasgow who was quite well known.
Yeah.
And he was known, and you're a fan of this style of music, would love this, Peter. This boy was known as Cellagram Tam. As a topper.
As a topper. It's like the best one is One Size for the guy, Fitz Hall, who played for an English, I think it was Reading. He played for
Neil Poynton, what was his nickname?
Dissa.
Dissa.
Oh, that was great, actually. I used to hang about with the Robbo at the time.
Right through the heart.
I lived up to it at times, but he was a good lad, Neil. Hi, Tam, Peter and Ruffy, and all the team. Thank you as always for bringing Scottish football closer to me. I'm in Stratford, Ontario in Canada. And it just shows you the amount of people that are watching the show now. More and more people spreading it with their friends and telling everybody that we're now exclusively on YouTube, which is great. It's the second biggest platform in the world, and more people, Ruffy. You know, when you go on holiday, there'll be people talking to you about the show, so it's great.
Yeah, I mean, Canada's. I've not been to Canada for a while. Used to go with Partick Thistle. We went to. There is a Partick Thistle supporters club in Nova Scotia, believe it or not.
Yeah, but the boys actually send videos to us.
Yes, that's right. And, but I mean, it's great. You know, I'm sure if we were abroad, we'd be wanting to tune into something like this.
Yeah.
You know, if we would lost contact to all the Scottish football and what's happening.
And if you can think of, as Tam mentioned, it's always good if you can think of, yes, Joe Marshall's just said that my music teacher, his name was Mr. Ritchie. And, you know,
yes.
So
my bozza.
Yeah, that was his nickname. Anyway, listen, this is what...
It was a school caretaker in Coatbridge. This is one that somebody sent in, a school caretaker in Coatbridge, and he was only about 4'3", so they called him Johnny DeVito. A cracker,
yeah, it's a belter. Anyway, we're going to talk about... We'll get on to the other games in a minute. Now we get back to the fact that here's what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst had to say about the game last night. We had to react last Sunday, and it was good to continue that way of playing. That intensity is what we want to have in games. We have to keep our standards for every game, and this is what we want for every game. Our foundation is to keep the 0, which obviously a clean sheet, because we know we're going to create chances. The last 2 games we've been good. It's only 1 point, so we need to make sure we keep winning and put the pressure on Celtic. And they certainly did that with the 2-goal win. I don't think too many people would disagree. They didn't deserve to win. They absolutely did. And just one little sad note, and I think today, and I personally, Ruffy, because people think at times it can be a glamorous life, but there's tremendous uncertainty, and I think that the sad news was that Yanis Hadji won't be back in time for the start of next season, which tells you that the injury is going to be keeping him out for a long time, and that's not good.
No, it's not good for any player to be out a long time. You know, depending how serious the injury is, you know, people start putting doubts in their mind. You know, that are they going to be the same player when you come back if you get a really sore one? So. That's a massive blow, because obviously he was in top form before he picked that up. Yeah,
okay, so Rangers win 2-0 against Hibs. And for a moment, there was one moment in that game up at Pittodrie where I think Rangers were thinking this pendulum swinging back towards Ibrox when it went 2-2. But in the end, Celtic quickly restored their advantage and it finished Aberdeen 2, Celtic 3. Now, Jota got 2 goals, and there's so many good talking points in this, Tam. I thought Jota's goal, the third one, should have been ruled offside, because I thought Abada.
Here we go again.
I know, but I'm not asking you to have a go at the referee. I'm asking you to, as an observation.
Yes.
I thought Abada got in the road of Bates and hindered his chance to
Yeah.
maybe thwart Jota.
Right, well, we're singing for the same hymn sheet there. That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
But again, I've got every sympathy for the match officials. I would imagine, I mean, am I right in saying, was there talk of some trial, some forthcoming trial with VAR? We're not meant to be. But there's talking maybe the latter stages of the Scottish Cup. Or
I know the vote takes place in April.
is it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, who's going to vote against it now?
Yeah, it was not really about that, Tam.
Is it affordable?
You know what it's. That's the key. Who's paying for it? Where's it getting paid from? And then
Can we not deal with players now and get a VAR system on loan for somebody?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I think it'll be heavily subsidised
A sponsor?
by clubs. Yeah, well,
Not just
listen,
a huge sponsor.
listen, we're talking about a league that has struggled for 5 years to
I
get
know,
a sponsor.
I know.
Then they
I
get
know.
one, and they're
But how
arguing.
about, you know, it's a chance for a sponsor to make their mark in terms of this is a first in Scottish football, and then whatever company attaches themselves to this
Yes.
project, it will be, you know, there's a wee bit of kudos there for them. So, you know, just a bit of imagination to get folk involved.
And by the way, Ruffy, just on obviously we'll get your thoughts on whether you thought it was offside or not. But on the point of the game, I mean, Celtic get 2 goals in the game. Jota, the first one he scored, I thought the keeper was poor at it. And then they got a wee bit of a deflection. I didn't think. I don't know about you. I didn't think Celtic got out of second gear. I thought they weren't unbelievably blistering like they were at Motherwell in the first half.
Yeah.
I thought they were just in second gear when they were 2 goals up.
Yeah, no, I think when they went 2 goals up, they say, "Oh, here we go again. We're going to get another one eventually, and it'll be 3-0. Then we'll just stroll out the second half." But I mean, Aberdeen got that goal, and it must have gave them a fright because nobody else has done it before. For the players to be in the situation, they've all had like a free run in any of the games they've been playing in. So, no, they had to dig in, you know, at a certain time. But I mean, Aberdeen thought they had them at 2 each. You know, and the conditions as well didn't help either. And then we go into the goal.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you think it was offside?
Abada was in an offside position. I'd like a referee to tell me when the ball goes out and comes back in a game, is it a second phase or a first phase? Because Jota wasn't offside.
No, nobody's saying that though.
So, but Labana wasn't affecting the play. He wasn't going for the ball. He wasn't going to get the ball. He wasn't going to. I would just like a referee to explain to me. You know, what you are saying is it was interfering with Bates.
Yes.
Well, you know what?
That was a foul, not Jota.
You know what, Ruffy? I would like, this is a week that, early in the week, Graham Alexander, who's been, I think, red carded 3 times already in his relatively short Motherwell career, he was saying about getting the referees to speak out. And I think that would be brilliant as well, because I would like to know, I mean, the referees could end up embarrassing some managers.
Yes.
You know, when you see them getting the cards flashed at them and, there was nothing to it and all that, they say that after it. If the referees come out and you know, spilled the beans, told us exactly what had been shouted at them, because they're not doing that for no reason, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a bit dangerous, but I think all fans would love to see that. The bizarre thing is, it's not as if referees are barred from speaking. I'm guessing it must be personal choice, because, for example, you know how in the rare occasion you do see them talking to the camera, it tends to be maybe, you think of the occasion, Peter, it's been a live game, but it's been called off because of the snow or the rain or something, and they will grab a word and have it on camera live with the referee. Yeah. So it's not as if it's illegal as far as the SFA or the SPFL go. So get them out to speak. But the other one that was wanting you two opinions on, I didn't grasp. What's the debate with Stephen Glass and Postecoglou about the referee? One was allowed to do so and one wasn't.
Yeah, I think from Stephen Glass's point of view, he was told, and he feels as if he was treated differently by the match officials to what Postecoglou was treated, and basically saying he should not come onto the field to approach the referee. This is what Stephen Glass had to say about that situation.
To me, look from the side, he looks offside. And regardless, I think he fouls Betsy and stops him running back to deal with Jota, who scores the goal. But again, I come in and say it every week. I don't want to talk about referees. There's a reason you ask me these questions. No, I was warned or told before the end of the game that not to go on the pitch and speak to the referee. But he didn't tell both managers, he told one manager, and maybe that's because he'd realised he made a mistake.
Yeah, Stephen Glass not happy that he was told. probably by the fourth official, not to come on the park to speak to the referee, but he didn't see Ange Postecoglou getting the same message, so a different treatment there is what he's talking about. And of course, he did, and you could tell at the trackside that he was so angry that he didn't adjudge Abada to be offside. From what Tam and I are talking about is basically Abada's in an offside position but does have an impact on play because he's coming back and blocks the run of Bates, who potentially could have got to Jota. But listen, at the end of the day, as Kenny Dalglish used to say, check your papers. It says 3-2 to Celtic. It doesn't matter how you bump your gums about it. And I'm going to read this one out. Here's one that just gives you an indication of sometimes on our show, Ruffy, you can't win. Michael Kelly says, Peter's always bigging up Rangers and playing down Celtic. Well, Michael, you need to get selective, get rid of the selective hearing. We try and call...
Just ask him, and when are Celtic moving to Canberra's line there? Is it the same one?
I don't know if it's the same one. Anyway, apart from anything else, Ange Postecoglou was very complimentary about his side, considering the run that they're on at the moment.
We want to be a team that sort of dominates the game and scores goals, but at times we've had to dig in over the last 3-4 months in different times, and we had to do it again today. Like I said, it's not a easy place to come. I mean, we've had 2 tough away games since the derby, and we've come through it with 6 points, and I think from my perspective that's a positive.
Yeah, well pleased when you think of the points they've picked up, coming back off that Old Firm one as well.
Yeah, well, that was a test last night. I said, I think it was last week, I said I hope that continues this year, that the likes of Aberdeen and Hibs and Hearts, particularly at home, give the Old Firm a game. We don't want the two of them running away with 30, 40 points. We like to see them being tested and a wee bit of a challenge. And I'm sure the likes of Motherwell as well, when they get them at home. On any given day, if they go about their job, then they'll give them a test as well, because I've already stated I don't think Rangers and Celtic will lose any home games at all. I don't see them under pressure from anybody, trying to nick points. So
well, certainly that run Rangers are on, that's is it under Van Bronckhorst, 9 games at home, all victories with clean sheets. I mean, that's good going. And Celtic, when they turn it on now with some of the players they've got now, that kind of grudgingly say it, having watched them cuff us last week, but they're good to watch when they turn it on. And we, again, with the gulf, the chasm financially, we should have been looking to compete with them anyhow, but I still just wish even last week we did more a go. There was too many defensive midfielders in the team, there was no wingers in the team, we played with just one up front, And the minute you lose the first goal and we lost it kind of early, then you just think that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to get you. We're now going to move on to the other games. We've got lots of people who've offered their opinion on offsides, disallowed, referees, different treatment for managers. Thank you to you all. Can't read out as many as we would like because we've got to try and cram in as much as possible on this. We're going to talk about Dundee United and Motherwell in a minute, Tam, because there's another statement that's come out. I love this programme because as well as a bit of banter, you always get a statement released in it. This one is from Wraith Rovers. John McGlynn has put out a statement about David Goodwillie. And he says, we have to apologise for bringing our football club and our supporters into the situation we are in. We underestimated the backlash and we are sorry. It was an emotional mistake. We are not bad people. I am not a bad person. I just want a chance to make it right. The decision to sign the striker from Clyde was a collective one between the management team and the board. I'm not here to hang anyone out to dry.
Well,
wow, that's a statement and a half.
I'm all, in general terms in this life, of giving everybody a second chance in life. And I'm not even talking here about David Goodwillie. I'm talking about John McGlynn. I'm talking about Wraith Rovers Football Club. I'm hoping that the fans, the sponsors, the match day announcer, the Wraith Rovers TV guys, I'm hoping they can give them a second chance. And when they said that they brought it in, who knows, maybe John McGlynn's thinking the minute he thought he had a chance of getting David Goodwillie that, this is going to be a wee bit dodgy, this is going to maybe cause a bit of controversy. But maybe then in the same breath he thought, but hang on, he's been playing away there quite the thing with Clyde for 5 years. He's been a club captain, he's been scoring goals, he's played in some high profile games, he played against Motherwell in the League Cup. So, why should we not sign him? But they made a boo-boo, everybody knows that. Everybody, is of the same opinion of the player in question. We all know the scenario there. and that has been well documented, and every man in their dug has had a say. But I just wonder now, it's a hard thing, Peter, and some of them admitted that, the Wraith Rovers fans, it's a hard thing to walk away from your club. There's guys saying that they've barely missed a game in 40 years, but they're not going back. You know, and the guys, as you well know, that would do the match day announcing, or the guys that would be involved in the telly, they're diehards, who you know for a fact that'll be done on a voluntary basis, and they'll love the fact they're able to do it. If I think everything that these guys have been through, and if I put myself in the same position it was Motherwell, it would absolutely break my heart.
Yeah, listen, I mean, and John McGlynn's a lovely man. He's a football man. I think, first and foremost, without shirking the issue, Ruffy, John McGlynn has worked with David Goodwillie before. He's probably taken into consideration what Tam was saying about the 5 years at Clyde. He's looked at it and thought, you know, I could do with him in this team to try and just maybe give us that extra push. And he's looked at it as a football decision. John McGlynn, as a manager, would then, because it's first and foremost the manager who calls it, John McGlynn would then have gone to the board and said, look, I'm interested in getting this boy. There's a bit of a backlash. There's a bit of a backstory which could give us a backlash. But I want to sign him. Give us your thoughts. And then collectively, they all would have sat round that board, and with a majority, they've made a decision which they did not realise they were setting off this tsunami of real bad feeling towards them because they hadn't thought it through properly.
But that's the biggest failing of the whole lot, the management and the board, just like Tam says. They never ask the people that Tam's talking about who are diehards and been there for 40 years. They never threw it out there to the sponsors. They never threw it out there to anybody. They made that decision, rightly or wrongly, and it is wrongly because the people that Tam's talking about, the lifelong supporters, didn't want it to happen. And they're the people you've got to listen to because they're your supporters. They're the ones that bring in the money.
You're saying they didn't put it out there to the supporters or put it out there to the sponsors. Well, actually they did, because that's the thing that has upped Val McDermott, the major sponsor. She said she was given assurances by a member of the board when rumours were first circulating about signing the player. She was assured by whoever the gentleman was that no, that's not going to happen, and then bang, it did. So, you know, that's what angered her. That and the fact that apparently the player in question had never shown any remorse for what he did. So, you know, but based on that statement there, I totally agree with what you say with John McGlynn. I've only met John a few times, had him on our programme, and that strikes me as a thoroughly decent guy, and I would like to see him been given a second chance.
Yeah, the negotiations for the contract that was agreed are still ongoing, so they're going to have to pay the player. And then from there, I think the general consensus, and I don't want to, you know, at this point say rightly or wrongly, the general consensus, I think, from a lot of people is, well, if he doesn't kick a ball again, so be it. I don't think he's going to be able to kick a ball again because it's clear that the backlash is going to happen everywhere. He might have to go abroad. He might have to go to somewhere where they can swallow that sort of behaviour. But we shall see. Anyway, that's the story that's breaking. We gave you our opinion. We move on. Dundee United 2, Motherwell 0. Levitt and Watt. Levitt's was a peach of a goal. United's second win in 12 matches. They haven't been great. Motherwell now 6 games without a win, Ruffy.
No, I think the Motherwell manager summed it up. I don't think there was much between the two teams, but certainly that first goal was a match winner in any game, you know, to come back for that. I thought Motherwell had chances here and there. It was one of the games you had to take the chance to put pressure on Dundee United with the form they're in, but it never happened, and the second goal just summed it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Tony Watt scores the goal. United now 4th above Motherwell on goal difference, but I think the main talking point, and I've been a reporter down behind that Motherwell dugout and been chatting with Alan Burrows. He lives, breathes and kicks every ball, Alan.
Absolutely.
You don't want him to have a heart attack at the best of times, but he's so emotional. I don't think he was too happy with Tony Watt's celebration towards the Motherwell fans.
No.
Now, you can give us your opinion on it. Ruffy knows the type of Ruffy knows the type of player I am. If you're paid by a club, you know,
absolutely.
Let's get into it.
I can give you my opinion on it, and of course I haven't spoken to Alan Burrows or Tony Watt about this. But yeah, Alan Burrows is first and foremost a Motherwell fan. That's the way he's conducted his business, the way he came right through the club.
Yeah.
If he's starting out helping out with the message boards and stuff, all the way through to now chief executive. He's an absolute diehard, and I always emphasise the point that I hope Motherwell are weighing him in properly in that role, because I would hope they wouldn't take advantage of that, think, no, this guy will never leave the club because he's a fan, because there must be other clubs looking at Alan Burrows in the same way they looked at Leanne Dempster at Hibs. But the bottom line is here, Tony Watt, it only seems like yesterday, he was scoring the goals for Motherwell, running out of the wee die-hard posse, the well boys, and, you know, hitting the badge and pointing at the pitch and all that, and this is his home and everything, you know. So I would have personally preferred it, and maybe advised him, Peter, that the celebrations last night could have been a wee bit subdued, given how Motherwell have, kick-started his career. Which was fairly stagnant for a long period of time. That might have been a good idea, but as much as they had a spat, which was shown on television last night, words were exchanged. Apparently, I have it in good authority, they kissed and made up after the game, and everything's fine. But it's just one of these strange things. But hey, fans love watching that. When you're saying you've been down at the kind of touchline as a reporter, and you've seen that, you know what I mean? I had a ringside seat, that's the only phrase for it, when you remember when John Boyle appeared for nowhere after Craig Brown had walked out in Motherwell. He came back to Fir Park with Aberdeen, and John Boyle, perhaps after a small glass of red wine, came down for the main stand just in time for the final whistle when we'd beaten Craig Brown's Aberdeen, and John wanted, in no uncertain terms, to make Craig Brown aware that we had just beaten Aberdeen. But he maybe said the wrong thing into his ear, and all hell broke loose down in the tunnel. I saw it again with Craig Brown when we played Odense in Europe, in Directory Football, I think it was, for Odense. Came right down the stairs to have a go at Craig Brown. He ran down for the main stand, right out of the main stand, and Craig had there's a wee connection here. I don't know, is Craig Brown trouble? I mean, it's not, he's at the centre of the audience, but yeah, that was a wee bit of panto on the sidelines last night. But as I say to you, Peter, I just cannot believe it didn't put a couple of quid on Tony Watt to score any time last night. It was absolutely on the cards. Yeah, absolutely. They got the 2 goals, Dundee United. Alan Burrows, I don't know you, Ruff. You know what I'm like. I mean, if I played for one club and then I've played for another, and I score a goal,
yeah. No, I think it's.
Would you be doing it? Aye.
Oh, absolutely. Some people don't even want you to celebrate.
No, it's like an individual. But I mean, David Turnbull scored against Motherwell, and he very subdued. Right. You get the famous one with Dennis Law. The back healer, when he did that for Man City against Man United. I think a lot of folks say that relegated Man United. Didn't help, but it wasn't as if that was the goal that relegated him way back when. What about Larsson when he came back to bite Celtic in the bum? Did he not do it twice? Barcelona and Man United.
He did it once. He did once against Barcelona.
Did he do cartwheels?
No, he didn't. But if he ran about celebrating,
I only saw the highlights last bit. Was it not the case? I don't know many Motherwell supporters were at the game last night. Was it not the case every time Tony got the ball, they were giving him a bit of jip? Where
have you been for the last century?
No,
that's what happens in football.
Yeah, no. So surely he's got every right to say, "Hey, cop this."
Aye, absolutely.
You're giving me the whole game, so hey,
Ruffy,
have a bit of that.
Search the archives, search old columns, anything. I have said this for years and years and years. And you get the farcical situation sometimes where a player or a manager launches something back at fans who've been giving them, in some cases, vile dog's abuse, bringing their wives into it, bringing their kids into it, but horrible, horrible stuff. And then the minute the manager of the player has to go back, you get these folk wanting to run to the police or run to the stewards. It's an absolute joke. And aye, you're right. I'm not saying it was vile or anything last night, but Tony Watt would have been getting it in the neck for the Motherwell fans, but I would have still liked him to have been a bit more subdued, and particularly with Alan Burrows, who was great with him.
Yeah, okay, it's all about opinions. Some people like to celebrate, some don't. That's Dundee United against Motherwell. A couple other games to talk about and some other little stories. Don't forget, if you are on our news feed, I've been just typing there. I know
I
some
would be
of
then very rude when we are doing a live show.
I know, but sometimes I have to do it basically because we always bang on about decency on this programme.
Yes.
And every now and then we have a group of dimwits who come on the programme and basically ruin the feed and talk about when Rangers were, when Rangers died, or when Celtic this, or one board this, and they ruin the programme for everybody. And basically, every now and then, our staff try and ban as many people who are poison, who are basically either bigots or thick people, and they ruin it for everybody. So every now and then, I type a message just to say, please go on to another site where you will be welcome. As I often
Tam
say,
just received it.
No, because you're not banning all dimwits, so you just got a text there for Tam McMahon. I think he's sacked. No, you don't mean that sort of dimwit, do you?
No, absolutely.
Right.
Because at the end of the day,
that's all right.
We want people the majority, 99% of the people, it's football, and we love the people who are coming with us on the show. The only thing I would say, Tam, I don't know how you get it. I mean, it's a different thing for off the ball, and we've had the best one, and I've kept it, and I'm going to release it in my book. I've kept the letter that was sent to Ruffy, and we used to get a lot of mail, and I got a lot of mail elsewhere when I worked at STV and the like, and especially Radio Clyde. The abuse was unbelievable. But Ruffy and I, when we started the show on STV, this guy wrote a letter to us, which is just absolutely priceless. I'm going to show you it. And he absolutely leathered us. and by the way, leathered us with stuff that was just so outrageous. And then he finished off at the bottom, GSTQ. He didn't sign it, didn't tell us where he lived, didn't write his name. He just put GSTQ at the bottom of it. God save the Queen.
All right.
So you can imagine the tone of it. And I have to say, Tim's just said to us there, your book, Peter, that'll be a bestseller. I'm trying to come up with the right title for my book.
Okay.
At the moment,
the title can grab the reader.
It can.
The title.
The one I'm thinking about at the moment, Ruffy, and people are trying to talk me off it, is Away and Take a Flying to Yourself. But I don't think that one. I'm not sure which section.
I'll think about it. I'll one for you next week. Right.
That would be great, Tam.
Yeah, but you need to ask it. They're your hardcore. They're the ones that are tuning in every day. Ask them. They might. Yeah. It's got to be a pun, though. It's got to be a play on words with Peter and Ruffy, or Peter, or whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to actually rename it as well, Ruffy. I was going to call the book "What's in a Name," because boy, they love giving me pelters for that over the last 13 years. That's been great as well. You know, I wonder if Norma Jean or Marion Morrison and Reg Dwight got as much pelters as I've got for that as well. So anyway,
blanked by my family.
Brilliant. That's a good one.
It's not about a middle name.
Exactly. Anyway, so apart from anything else, the majority, and I always say this, the majority of the people who are on this show, and the more and more people that join us, we're delighted. We actually thank you for coming on the programme. We like a bit of banter. Tam's been on blistering form today. We do enjoy it. We try and bring in as many guests as possible and give you as many interviews. But if I have to lose people who just don't like the fact that we're leathering them for being cretins, then roll on. Go and watch something else. As far as Hearts against Dundee, I didn't get any points. Did you?
You know, if there's ever a great author, Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the book now.
Go on.
A Tale of Two Titties.
Yeah. that could be good. That's definitely a section of the book, I have to tell you. And by the way, can you imagine me writing about meeting him in the 10 years we've had together?
So, I mean, you think, all kidding aside, the stories that you can't tell on this format that you could put in a book.
He would have the bestseller of all time if he told the truth.
If he
the
tells
first
the truth.
autobiography was
mind,
all lovey-dovey.
I'd lose a lot of friends.
It would need to be a pop-up book. Or at least another 6 months.
It would be Ruffy. If you ever had the absolute spine and bravery to write it, would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Oh, it would be good, but it's when you can't name names and then you just put initials and all that in, and people have to.
And you know
guess
what?
who it is.
You come out, and fair play to you for us, as a genial character that takes a joke, likes a laugh, da da da. I've seen examples of this in the past where other folk of that nature spoil it for themselves by maybe, you know, I'm thinking of one guy in particular, and I won't repeat the name, but brought out a book and it bad-mouthed a few folk, and it kind of tarnished his image, you know what I mean? So you need to be careful with that stuff. Just keep having a laugh.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. I think you've done it the right way, Ruffy. It's different for me because at the end of the day, you know, there's people that like you and just hate you, and that's the nature of it. I've just got to live with that. But you are kind of a housewife's favourite, you know.
Well, we were talking about the other day about punching people. Used to were at it for you were young. It was just the environment you were in. Just you know, having a go. I've never punched anybody in my life.
Yeah, well, you should try. It's great. Anyway.
That's a point. You know what? I don't think I have.
Have you not?
I've never punched him in my life.
Well, I'm getting a what do you call it? What am I getting?
Implants.
Implant at the moment because somebody belted me at the football and knocked my tooth out. So.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. Right.
No, when I come in and said you're getting implants, I thought, are they not big enough? That's just green.
So anyway, it's Tim says this book is not for you. It probably should be actually. Absolutely.
This book is not for that's
That's
genius.
it.
That is good. That's
It's
good.
your
I'm happy with
catchphrase now,
it.
sadly.
I know.
And
By the
again,
way,
it's
Tam,
like,
here's a question for you. That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, I don't know if I'm taking the moral high ground on this, or maybe I'm just being, up my own back end with it. But with you guys, do you get feedback for your show where you're just because it's the BBC, you're just unbelievably selective, or do you get the point where you look and you go, aye, give me a break?
well, first up, if you're talking about up your own backside, there's another potential. No, just your old hobby. I don't know if you're still bit Peter Rabbit. Don't think you do that nowadays. But you get stuff. I know for a fact that we'll get stuff sent in by email and by text that our producer just won't show us.
Yes.
Right, and some of the stuff perhaps that you are getting there.
Yes.
But I don't know about you. I mean, our dear mutual pal Hugh Keevans, I know he enjoys doing an annual thing, which they put on social media and Radio Clyde when they keep all the absolute cretinous emails and texts that they get slagging them to within an inch of their life. But it's quite cathartic. You just read these out. And Huey's great, and Huey's right to the camera, deadpan, and saying, "You specky tube," and all that stuff. I kind of quite enjoy that, and folks say to me, which I shouldn't do on social media. I can't help replying to like the trolls and that, and try to kind of take the piss a wee bit back. They should say just leave them alone. All these folk that have got like no followers, and I just enter into it for a laugh.
Yeah, Hearts 1, Dundee 2. Didn't see it coming. Great win for James McPake. Takes a wee bit of the pressure off.
Yeah, and you like to see that. We don't want to see managers getting the sack, and James unfortunately was no far away from that, and that's what kind of result puts a smile on everybody's face, gives him a wee bit more time. He knows he's still in trouble. Unfortunately, St Johnstone are just as bad as them, so it's going to be a long run into the end of the season.
Yeah.
For them too.
And Ross County 1, Livingston 1. David Martindale said he's hoping that Alan Forrest will sign a new contract to stay beyond this season. I think Alan Forrest will wait to the end of the season and think, I'm Offski, because he's battering in the goals.
Yes.
He'd be a great signing for Motherwell.
Would he, eh?
Oh, Alan Forrest has been great.
Yeah.
He's the type of player. He's a Motherwell player for me.
Right. Well, the only thing I would say there is that suddenly a lot of folk used to just be, James Forrest has got a brother, hasn't he? But the guy's making a name for himself now, Peter. Of that, there is no doubt. So I would for what I've seen of him recently, absolutely, I'd take him in a flash.
Yeah.
That Motherwell would be great. But they're Livy and Ross County, of course, picked up a few points here and there in recent weeks, and it all makes it exciting for the playoff position and relegation ends. I said to you, you've got a big chunk of clubs now in the middle that sadly we've been kind of drawn back into. They'll all be scrambling about top six first and foremost. They're looking for get a wee bit of extra money because of that, and then try to have a wee chase for Europe. But it's a cracking league, and that championship's just. I really, really wish. Who was the boy that used to do it? McKinley. Was it David McKinley? What was the boy called? used to do Football First on STV.
David McKinney.
David McKinney, right?
Yeah.
It was only a wee half-hour thing. It was as if it was filmed in Nokia mobile phones sometimes, right? But it was great. I know we get the live games in the BBC on a Friday night for the Championship, one game. I'd love a wee programme devoted to that league because it's brilliant. And that last night, what must that have been like? Kelly 1, Ayr 2?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, to be honest with you, Tam, if we could get even a fraction of the licence money, we would make that programme for Tam, wouldn't we?
Of course we would.
You know, it would be fantastic, but it's not about the numbers.
But you do get a fraction of the licence money. You get the £167 that you don't pay every year. You were telling me that off air. Your quid's in.
St Mirren 2, St Johnstone 1, Jim Goodwin, I've got to say, unbeaten in 5 league games, and boy, they're playing well, aren't they?
I know, I miss him moaning after the games.
Do you?
There was a time when he was moaning about everybody. And
he's great on a night out, by the way.
Yeah, I bet we've had him on the show hundreds of times.
He's a great lad.
You could see the dejection. I mean, last week, was it against Hughes when the fullback lost the ball and he scored? And you could see him just folding and that's what it does to you when you're a manager and you're running the club. So no, another good win. It takes him out into 6th place or something like that.
You know the only flip side of that, Peter, I've got a pal that's quite a big St Mirren fan. Obviously it's no chick then. But he texted me last night and he already, because I've been in this good run, and this happens a lot of times with fans, and you think of this way with players that are in a good run, and he's thinking about it, his manager Jim Goodwin, he thinks, I don't think we'll be able to keep him. He's immediately thinking now that he's starting to grab a bit of attention, and there'll be a lot of clubs that would pay Jim a lot more money than St Mirren. So that's the downside. You know why sometimes a player at a club like Morgan through a great bit of form, you almost wish calm down a wee bit, because you're just going to go. But see what happens.
Listen, we've been talking about managers under pressure, managers who might get, lured away. But Brendan Rodgers, amazingly, Leicester, they're under a wee bit of pressure as well. I think Leicester are in action tonight against Liverpool. They need Liverpool like a hole in the head. Even Brendan himself knows that the pressure is increasing.
Yeah, I've never ever felt that I haven't, and but I also understand football. So it's I've got a great relationship here with the people at the club. Very close working relationship with everyone. But I also understand that you have to get results. That whatever happens to me in the future, whatever that, those relationships don't change. The great people here, the good people, they've always supported me.
Yeah, he knows he's under pressure. They're sitting 12th in the table. The run that they're on at the moment, it just hasn't been going the way that he's used to.
First up, you need to say the curse of a club like that winning the league.
Well, they won the cup as well. They were knocked out by Forest.
Yeah, fans' expectations are always going to be right up there. I would imagine any season before they won the title, that 12th would have been seen as hugely respectful. But listen, don't kid ourselves on. They won the league. The Thai gentleman, who sadly lost his life, had pumped mega money into the club. This wasn't like the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker as chairman, who had elevated Leicester City to that status. So it maybe wasn't quite as much an upset as the bookies' odds at the time would have suggested. But it does seem strange to see him under pressure. Only what was the gigs that he's already been quoted for over the past year? It was Man United.
Definitely.
And that's what happens. A wee dip in form, and your name suddenly comes off the list.
Yeah. Just before we go, Ruffy, I thoroughly enjoyed it today. Do you know what it's been like, Ruffy? It's been a good midfield battle. There's been a right good few laughs, wee bits of sledging, leathering people right, left, and centre, reading out some good funnies, and that's what football should be about.
Well, I think it's lacking like the Graham Norton show. A nice big glass of white wine.
By the way, seafood glass, if you had a glass of white wine, I had a wine,
Mm-hmm.
you had a wine, we'd be off air, Ruffy. YouTube would say thank you, but no thanks.
Is that against regulations?
No, it's not against regulations. Just by the time we had a good scoop of it, I'd be telling people exactly what I think. And Tam wouldn't be holding...
That's just the guests.
and Tam wouldn't be holding back.
Comfort.
Absolutely. What about 22 years ago? It's amazing. 22 years ago this very day, John Barnes was sacked by Celtic. And here's the stats from John Barnes. Appointed June 1999, won 12 of his first 13 games before 5 losses in 8 games. Sacked on the 10th of February 2000 after Celtic were knocked out of the Scottish Cup by Inverness Cali Thistle. That was the Super Cali go ballistic. Celtic are atrocious. 29 games in charge, 8 months. It's incredible. He lost Henrik Larsson with a broken leg. I think it was against Leon, and from then on they just never recovered. He didn't have that type of man on the pitch as well to score goals.
Right, and I'm trying to think of way back then, and just remind me, he did come in with a philosophy he was going to play a certain way, didn't he?
Yeah, it was what was
that certain way? What was it?
It was a kind of a 3-5-2. I think was his.
Was it?
It was something like that. I remember
something more outrageous.
Well,
than that.
I remember. I don't think it was a 2-6-2 or something, but I think it was a 3-5-2. But the one thing about it I remember, I think the particular style, he didn't have the players that were getting caught out with it. And I remember up at Dens Park one day, I think he just lost the plot with me, and he lost the plot with a few people who felt as if he couldn't get his message over about what he was trying to do. I liked John Barnes, and I think I think John Barnes, for me, I like what he's got to say. I think he does a lot for the show racism, and he talks a lot of sense. I'm amazed, Tam, that he wasn't a pundit. On a regular basis.
Because everybody knows he is very outspoken in a wide range of subjects.
Which begs the question, he should have been a pundit 10 years before a lot of companies thought it was PC.
Yeah, I bet you're right there, Peter. There'll be something in that. The two things with John Barnes, for me, first up, the Super Cali go ballistic. I mean, that was so big. That for me is a JFK moment, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Me and Stuart Cosgrove were doing a live shot in Glenrothes, and you're talking 2020. No, everybody had a mobile phone back then, Peter. The internet was only 2 years old, right?
Yep.
And I remember it casually. We got wind at half time in the show at the wee interval that Inverness had beaten Celtic, had knocked Celtic out of the cup. We just mentioned it, and we moved on to all the other stuff we were doing, right? And at the end of the show, a couple of folk came up to the bar, and he says, "What was the Celtic score?" They thought we'd been making a joke about that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a joke, it just stated fact, and they could not believe. That's how big a shock it was.
Yeah,
folks
absolutely.
were stunned by that. But the second thing I'll say, I'm only direct dealing with John Barnes. Apologies if I'd told you this before, but we got him in to do the telly show with us one night offside. He was the first guy, and this was post-Celtic, he was very, very wary of what we might have been sitting him down for and what we might have been wanting to say to him, or we were going to take the mickey, we were going to slaughter him about Inverness and all that, which wasn't your intention. It's like, you don't sit down with a guest and do that. There's nothing to be gained.
No.
You want to get the best out of your guest, So we didn't have a script. It was always bullet points I worked. I had bullet points on an auto cue just so I could refer to it, and then it was more natural,
Yeah.
And but what we did, and it was a bit of genius, for say so myself, we had, for the end of his slot in the show, we were going to line up as a wee stunt, wee bit of fun, to get him to recreate his Lucozade advert, where, if you remember, he kicked a can of Lucozade, an empty can, into the waste paper basket. Remember that advert?
Yeah.
And we thought, we'll just do that then. I wonder if we can do it, And I said, you know what, let's do that near the start of his interview, and it might just put him at his ease, and we'll pray that he gets a direct hit, a bullseye, and that might, So we got him in at the start, and we say, it's a Lucozade man himself. John, have you still got it? And I crunched up the Lucozade can.
Aye.
We had the bin at the front of the studio, and he stood up, right, and he did it first time. He got it straight in. Well, the audience went after him that, and you just saw him relax into it.
Yeah.
And see, after that, he was great, and he apologised at the end. He says, "I'm sorry for giving you a lot of hassle, your producer, and a bit of script and all that. I really enjoyed that," and that was it. He went out quite happy.
Which is great. And to be fair, by the way, I'm surprised John Barnes didn't agree to take the crushed can of Lucozade and beat everybody in the audience as well. Because he's well capable of that, wasn't he?
Oh,
What a player.
The goal against Brazil is up there with Maradona's goal against England.
Listen, I've thoroughly enjoyed today's show. I love it when I'm in the company of two of the best people you could ever wish for on a night out. Tam, you've been in great form, all of it scripted, and of course Ruffy as well. And to you,
see, just before we go, how about the two of you now? I realised recently you get that wee thing in your phone that you can record for a clip. Do you know that function in the phone?
Yeah.
Do you? Right.
Yeah.
I'd only Colin McCready, ex-Taggart star, talked me through it recently. It's great. And it means that I can punt up wee clips from the show.
Yes.
For the audience and for my followers, like on Instagram. So what I would like, and I'll clip this, I'm the MC at the wedding. Jonathan Sutherland.
Yes.
I've met Jonathan. You know Jonathan.
Yeah, he's getting married, he's a good lad.
Sports scene host. Married on Saturday. So into your respective cameras. So a wee good wishes to Jonathan and his lovely bride-to-be, Siobhan. And I'll record it.
Couldn't think of
Yes.
a better... You're
go.
recording it right now?
Just take the camera and I'll take it off the show.
I'll say,
yeah.
Jonathan, I'd like to wish you all the best. I hope you have many, many happy years in your future wife.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good news is, Jonathan, you're getting married. At the moment, you're really thin, but once you get married, suddenly you settle in for a night. You think, we'll not cook, we'll have a pizza, then we'll have a red wine, and then before you know it, you'll be sitting on this couch with us, happily laughing, and all your sporty days are behind you. I hope you have a long and wonderful marriage, Jonathan.
And a Showbiz exclusive, Laura McGee and Amy Irons will be presenting Sports Scene on Saturday night, Cup Final Sports Scene, Scottish Cup Sports Scene, sorry.
Oh, that's absolutely
Brilliant.
fantastic to know. And don't forget, the Monday night
We'll be
movie on
watching it.
BBC is, anyway, apart from anything else, we've done our PR bit for this. To each and every one of you, the decent people who love their football club and love us talking football, share it with your friends, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you tomorrow.